I'm Dana Bristol-Smith with Leap to Success, and I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, Self-Care in Stressful Times. And this is episode number 21, and it's called Living with the Uncertainty. And I'm going to put the in quote marks because we are in this big pile of uncertainty. And there's not a lot of things that we can control in our lives, is there? A lot of stuff going on around us with the pandemic. And, one thing I noticed that I do every Tuesday, right before we do these webinars, is I clean my desk so that I can see the wood top of it and I can see things in somewhat of order. And that gives me a little bit of certainty in my life amidst all of this. And you might find yourself doing things like that as well. Let me tell you for a moment about Leap to Success, and then we're going to jump right in. Leap to Success is a women's empowerment organization, and we're based in Carlsbad, California. Our mission is to educate and empower women who are overcoming major life challenges like domestic violence, homelessness, and other challenges. We're going to add on to that pile job loss, change, big change, and traumatic experiences, and we provide empowerment and leadership programs. What we've started doing during the pandemic 21 weeks ago is offering this free weekly webinar, reaching out to those in the community, many of whom are providing support to people who are overcoming challenges in their lives. So many of you on this call are in helping professions, and I want to thank you for your help. I want to thank you for being there for folks in the community who need you right now. And I want to say a special hello to our friends at PCG. As we were looking at the lengthy list of people who signed up for today's webinar, we saw that there are many people coming from PCG, from the staff, so we want to say a special hello to you. I'd now like to introduce my co-host for this webinar, Kelly Grimes. So here's Kelly.
Thank you so much, Dana. I am so happy that we are all here for another episode. These are such important tools to continue to learn and put into practice. So I'm happy that you're here, and I look forward to exploring more about living with this uncertainty.
Thank you, Kelly. And I see a lot of discussion going along in the chat, a lot of hellos, and I see that a lot of our program participants are with us today. Some women that we haven't seen for several years, so a special hello to you. I'm really glad you're with us. And I'm also really glad that our friends are with us on Facebook as we are streaming live. And you might also be watching this on YouTube, where we have a library of these episodes. And at this time, I'm going to introduce Alyssa, who is providing our technical support, and she's going to tell you a couple ways that you can participate and also share these episodes. Here's Alyssa.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to episode 21 of Self-Care in Stressful Times. As Dana mentioned, we do have a playlist of all of our previous episodes up on our YouTube channel, which is just Leap to Success. I will be putting that in the chat if you're interested in watching any of those. And for today, we are going to be having some interaction during today's webinar. So there will be a couple of polls that'll be popping up on your screen, as well as some questions. If you would like to interact with the other attendees on this webinar, make sure that you have your settings in your chat set to all panelists and attendees if you would like the others to see your answers and what you have to say. And also, we just have a new feature as of a couple weeks ago up on our website, where we have listed all of the self-care webinars that we will be hosting out for a month at a time. And you can pre-register for those and see what our topics are going to be about. So we have all those up for the month of August, and I will be putting that link in the chat as well. Thank you, Dana.
Thanks, Alyssa. So let's take a deep breath. That's one thing that we can be certain of in the midst of this uncertainty. And what we know is that uncertainty and ambiguity is really difficult. there's this constant tension that we are all sitting in, and it impacts every area of our lives. We turn on the news and we read the newspaper, and we see, another way that we are going to be impacted. We know that our children are not going to be going back to school in the fall. We know that that places huge burdens on families not knowing what to do. How do you go back to work? How do you find childcare? All of these questions and all of this uncertainty is in the air. So what we want to look at today in the webinar are strategies that you can use and strategies that you can teach to others to help them sit in this tension and sit in this uncertainty without fighting against it, without running away from it, but just to sit with it with a little bit more ease. But what I'd like to do right now is I'd like to check in with you. And we did this last week and found that through the course of the webinar, people were able to feel a lessening of their stress and anxiety. So I want to check in with you right now about your current level of stress. So I know it's been a busy day. I know there's lots of news. I know there's lots of demands on you. But what I know also is you're taking this time for yourself. But let's check in right now. And Alyssa, go ahead and put the poll up. And friends, please go ahead and rate your current level of stress right now. 1 is being low and 10 is extreme stress, like just going out of your skin level of stress. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, it tells me host cannot vote or panelists cannot vote. So I have to do this vicariously through you. I'm glad that you are voting now. We'll be leaving this up just for about a minute total. So go in and check in with yourself and then rate on this scale of 1 to 10 your current level of stress. And in about 30 seconds, Alyssa will go ahead and close the poll. I'll give you a little preview before we close this poll of what we're covering today. In just a couple of minutes, I'm going to take you through a practice that's called a body scan. And you're going to be able to check in the various places of your body and see what you're feeling there. Feel the tension, feel the stress, and breathe into those areas and around them to see if you can create a little bit more spaciousness. Okay, we've got the results of the poll up, and oh my goodness, most of you, the majority, are sitting at between a level 7 and a level 6 for stress. So I'm so glad that you're with us today. And I'm so glad that you're taking this time for yourself, because that's a dangerous level of stress to be carrying. So go ahead and be comfortable in your chair right now as much as you can. And let me just walk you through. Give yourself these few minutes of quiet and just listen to my voice and follow along with this guided meditation, which is a modified body scan. So go ahead and feel your feet flat on the floor. And take a nice deep breath in as if you are breathing in from the bottom of your feet all the way up to the top of your head, and release it. And go ahead and do that 3 more times on your own. Deep breath in from the bottom of your feet all the way up to the top of your head. See if you can hold it for a couple of seconds and then release it. And do that a couple more times. Deep breath in, holding it for a couple of seconds and releasing it. Deep breath in, holding it for a couple of seconds, and nice long exhale. Good. Okay. As you're seated, go ahead and close your eyes if you're in an environment where you feel safe to go ahead and do that. Otherwise, just soften them down and continue taking those nice deep breaths and bring your awareness to the bottom of your feet and see if you feel any tension in your feet. And if you do, go ahead and lift each foot up one at a time, just from the toe area, and bring it back down. So now go ahead and, let's say, do your left foot, bring the toe up and back down to the ground. Your right foot, bringing your toes up, seeing if you can stretch your foot, and relaxing that stretch, bringing the foot down. And now bring your left toe up. You're keeping your heel on the ground. This is a great stretch for releasing tension in the feet. You can't do this if you're wearing high heels. You can do it if you're wearing tennis shoes or if you're barefoot. If you've got some room in your shoes, okay, bring up your right toe, leaving your heel on the ground, stretching those toes up. Okay, very good. Do it one more round of it. Left foot, left toe up. Now right foot, right toes up. Good. Okay. Take a nice deep breath in. Now bring your awareness to your ankles. And as I call out each of the body parts, what I'd like you to do is just notice if you feel any tension in that part of your body. And as you breathe, I'd like you to imagine that you are breathing directly into that part of your body. And if you take a second breath while you're there, imagine that you're breathing right around that part of your body and creating a little bit more space around it. So that's 2 breaths for each part of the body as I mention them. So now bring your awareness to your calves. Taking a breath in, noticing if there's any stress or tension, and taking another breath. Breathing in to that calf, left and right. And next breath, breathing around the calf muscles and releasing it. And I want to close my eyes while I'm doing this so that I'm feeling the parts of the body as well. So if you're just joining us, we're doing a body scan. So be comfortable where you're seated and follow along. Okay, now bring your awareness to the backs of your knees. Take a breath in and a second breath in. Good. And you're just noticing if you feel any tension, and you're breathing directly into those parts of your body. You're imagining that. And now bringing your awareness up to the backs of your thighs and feeling how the chair that you're sitting in is supporting you. Taking a nice deep breath in, releasing it. Next breath in and releasing it. Good. Now bringing your awareness to your seat and how you are supported by the chair. See if you can feel the contact that your bottom is making to the chair. The muscles there, feeling the support and taking those nice deep breaths and feeling the support of the chair beneath you. And now bringing your awareness up to your hip areas on the left and on the right, seeing if you're feeling any tightness or tension in your hip areas, and taking 2 breaths in. On the first breath, breathing directly into the hip area. And on the next breath, breathing to the area around the hip joints. Now bringing your awareness to your spine area in your lower back and taking those couple of deep breaths in, just noticing if there's any tightness or tension in that lower back spine area. Now your mid-back area, noticing if there's any tightness or tension in your mid-back, and taking those 2 nice deep breaths. Bringing your awareness now to your upper back, noticing what you feel there, and taking 2 nice deep breaths right into the upper back spine area. Bringing your awareness now to the top of your spine, the base of your neck, and feeling if there's any tightness or tension there, and taking 2 nice deep breaths, focusing on that area. Bringing your awareness now to your shoulders, to your left shoulder and your right shoulder, and noticing if there's any tightness or tension. And why don't you breathe 2 deep breaths first into your left shoulder, and then 2 deep breaths into your right shoulder. Very good. Now we're going to bring your awareness down your arms to your wrists. And I'd like you to bring your awareness to your left wrist and right wrist. If you're on the computer a lot, you're probably feeling some tension there. And breathe directly in. And this is going to be our final place that we're going to do our breathing and our awareness in this modified body scan. But go ahead and breathe directly in, 2 breaths each to the left wrist and then to the right wrist, and feel free to move those wrists around to loosen the tension there. Great. And after you've completed that, come on back. Open your eyes and take a nice deep breath in. And I think we needed that. I think we needed that time to let go of some of that stress and some of that tension that you feel from living in this uncertainty. Good job. Good job. I'm going to invite Kelly to come on now, and she's going to provide some additional strategies that you can use now from this more relaxed and open state. So come on, Kelly.
Thank you so much, Dana. You know, one thing that I have noticed in myself is that with uncertainty, sometimes I tense up in the unknowing, in the anxiety of it. And what I love about a body scan is it allows us to see where we're holding tension, where there's tightness, what the impact has been. And there's so much wisdom that our bodies hold for us. So I invite you to continue with that beautiful practice. We are going to revisit a mindfulness practice that we shared a few episodes ago called RAIN. And this method was originally developed in the 1980s by Michelle McDonald. She was a Buddhist teacher, and it's been adapted many times by different mindfulness teachers over the years. And we are going to use Tara Brach's version today. So RAIN stands for recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture. It's a beautiful structure for us to pause and check in with ourselves. So I want to invite you, now that you have gotten in touch with your body and are present in this moment, to think about this uncertainty that we're all living in and see what it's bringing up for you in this moment. Perhaps you have fear or anxiety. There might be sadness or disappointment in things that we thought were going to be a certain way, and we just don't know that they will. There may be frustration and anger about, having our lives so disrupted, or a deep feeling of grief, or simply a feeling of being out of control. Whatever you're feeling, I'm going to invite you in this moment to use the first part of RAIN, is recognize, and just simply ask yourself, what's happening inside me right now? What are the sensations I'm most aware of when I get in touch with how I feel about this uncertainty? What are the emotions? Perhaps all of those ones that I just listed, you feel all of them, right? We have the ability to feel the ebb and flow of so many different emotions during this time. You might notice that your thoughts are really racing. So just take a moment right now to become aware of what is most present for you in this moment. And then I have an invitation for you. And that's in the next part of this practice, which is allow. I am going to invite you to make a little space around whatever you're experiencing and just allow it to be. So much time we push things aside, we ignore. Most of the time we can tell, if we're paying attention to our bodies, that you do that over time, and it does then respond with tension and not feeling well, and maybe headaches and stomach aches and other things. Our body oftentimes could be our teacher for the experience we're having if we're not allowing ourselves to notice. So in this practice, we create a little space just to let it be, right? To bring in a sense of willingness to pause and accept that in this moment, this is how you feel. And it doesn't have to be that you will always feel this, but in this moment, you're just going to allow it so that you can take the next step, which is the I of RAIN, and it's to investigate. It's to use a sense of curiosity and non-judgment to notice what's showing up. You might check in and say, where am I feeling those emotions strongest in my body? Think back to the body scan you just did. Perhaps you noticed there were areas that were really, really tight, or maybe you had pain someplace that you hadn't noticed prior to bringing your full attention. So really checking in, what's the wisdom in this moment of my body's response to the emotions that I'm having? Check in again and investigate what are the feelings and how are those feelings impacting the sensations that you're having in your body. I know if I'm having more anxiety around the unknown, the uncertainty, maybe my heart's beating faster. Maybe I'm breathing in a more shallow way. What this investigate allows us to do is to notice things so we can make other choices. If we don't allow ourselves to pause in these times and really reflect on what the impact is, it's hard to make an empowered choice. We tend to be more reactive in those ways, maybe trying to numb it out because we don't want to experience it, versus make a nurturing choice. You might think for yourself right now in this investigation, what are the thoughts that I'm having about uncertainty? And how are they impacting how I feel? You know, am I feeling more intense as a result because I'm going through what if, and I don't have answers to it? Just notice. The N that I want to invite you into is nurture. Now, any of you that know me know this is one of my favorite questions to ask, but what would be the most nurturing thing that you could do for yourself in this moment? If you don't know, you're not alone. Be gentle with yourself. Maybe you place your hand on your heart and you visualize yourself as a small child, wondering, what would that part of me need to be reassured? What kind of act of kindness and self-compassion would be most nurturing for me right now? I want to offer you a few grounding techniques so that you can settle your nervous system. Oftentimes in that nurture piece of this RAIN practice, it's about settling ourselves back down so we can take the next step. So there's a few grounding techniques that we teach in our Leap to Confidence classes, and one of them is the 3-step process. Feel your feet on the ground is the first thing. Breathe and notice your breathing. And then speak to the eyes and the heart of the person that you're talking to. Now, we're doing a lot of work virtually and over Zoom, but guess what? I can imagine while I'm doing that I am speaking to you. I feel more of a sense of connection and more of a sense of grounding in this present moment when I do that. So that's a really beautiful technique. The next thing is to use your senses. Our senses bring us into the present moment. Whether it's breathing an essential oil like lavender that can be very calming, maybe it's drinking water, feeling the cool water going down, maybe it is using your sense of touch to bring yourself into the present moment. You could pet an animal. We know how calming and grounding that can be. You could use your sense of hearing. And you could hear, what sounds do I hear around me? Do I hear birds or do I hear the breeze? And you can also use your sense of sight to see what things around you bring you back to this present moment. So that it can be a very calming, grounding activity. The last one I want to leave you with is a mantra or something that you can say to yourself that can be reassuring. Going back to the idea of placing our hands on our heart and feeling our own beating heart, we can then reassure ourselves in this moment that all is well. We could acknowledge ourselves for practicing these different coping strategies and these different mindfulness practices like RAIN to build our capacity to live with the uncertainty and cultivate these new self-care and self-nurturing practices. So I invite you to find ways to ground, to settle your nervous system, and to use this beautiful practice of RAIN to give yourself moments of pause during the day to be deeply connected to yourself. I hope that those were helpful, and I thank you so much. I hand things back to Dana.
Thank you, Kelly. Those were terrific. So, my friends, we're coming to the end of our time together in this 30-minute webinar, and I want to check in with you. At the beginning, we asked you to rate your level of stress on that 1 to 10 scale on the poll, and we saw that most of you are sitting in a lot of stress. So I'm going to ask Alyssa to go ahead and put the poll up now and go ahead and rate yourself. What is your current level of stress? As you think about, as you feel in your body right now, how stressed are you feeling? Yeah, thank you for going ahead and putting your answers in. I want to remind you that your breath is your constant companion. And whenever you're feeling that sense of stress or overwhelm, just to take a pause for yourself is really important. So taking a deep breath in, holding it for a couple of seconds, and then breathing out can really help to reduce the stress that you're feeling right in the moment. Okay, and it looks like Alyssa's just closed the poll. And look at those results. The majority, we've come down to 3.5 from 6.5 earlier on that scale of 1 to 10. So in these 30 minutes, most of you were able to reduce your stress significantly. So I want to congratulate you, because what that tells me is that, and what it should tell you as well, is that you actually do have the power. You do actually have some control over how you're feeling in the midst of being in an environment that is uncertain. So I want you to remember these tools. I invite you to come back and be with us next Tuesday at noon, to be live with us on Zoom, or visit our self-care library. And take good care of yourself, my friends. It's really important that you do, because you are really important. Thank you for joining us, and have a great week. Bye-bye.